What's up, everybody? Welcome to Behind the MasterMinds, episode 82.
Yeah,
we are ESCAPETHEROOMers, Brandon and...
I'm Cece.
Wow. Oh my God, it's November already.
Yeah,
Time is
what happened
flying.
to the whole year.
Time really does fly when it's pause time.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to make it rhyme. Did you get it?
No, not really.
All right, anyways. More importantly, let's bring in our guests because we're very excited for our show today, and let's get them all in here. We have Rich, Terry, Maxime, Terry, and Summer. How's everybody doing? Welcome.
Hey,
guys.
Hello.
All right.
We're traveling today, so we don't have an official background, but...
Yes, we are traveling on the road and avoiding a hurricane, Nicole. Which hurricane are we in now?
Avoiding it for like closer to.
All right, so I have a mouthful of introductions, but I hope everyone is happy about getting that extra hour of sleep with the daylight savings if you're in the U.S. And, well, you'll need to be extra focused today as we have 4 panelists on the show, and they'll be giving you all the secrets on how to create immersion in a game. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to our channel and smash that like button below. Let's start. And please raise your hand after I give your intro so we all know who's who. Let's start by introducing our only tabletop game panelist, Terry Podgorski from Nordo. How you doing, Terry?
Very good. Very good.
Well, Terry sent us a 3-paragraph short resume.
Really short.
Since this show is only an hour, I'm going to try to summarize just the highlights. With 20 plus years of experience self-producing art, theater, and live events, Terry has worked with dozens of companies and hundreds of artists to bring imagination into reality. He co-founded Nordo, an immersive theater dining company in Seattle, Washington, with his partner Aaron Brindley. It remains the longest-running and currently only Seattle-based immersive art experience. In 2015, the company found a permanent home in the historic Pioneer Square district, and their current running production, Down the Rabbit Hole, opened in the fall of 2021 and recently celebrated its 100th performance. Congrats on that. During the COVID shutdown, Nordo pivoted to create escape room boxes, and the boxes included ephemera, puzzles, and film elements to bring immersive storytelling into the home. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. Next up, also hailing from Seattle, Washington region, is Summer Herrick. Hi, Summer.
Hello.
Summer is the co-founder and lead designer of Locurio. Opened in mid-2015, Locurio has 2 award-winning escape rooms, The Vanishing Act and The Storykeeper, and is currently working on the expansion project where they plan to offer several all-new story-driven immersive experiences. Can't wait for that. Yay!
Me neither.
And up next, let's welcome the owner of Trapped Escape Rooms, Richard Wilson. They've been open since 2015 as well, and currently have 3 locations, 2 in California, Upland and San Dimas, and 1 in Las Vegas, Nevada. He's also the co-owner of Ross Games in Las Vegas as well. He has designed and built 13 in-person escape room experiences and 2 online escape room experiences, and is currently building 2 new rooms, which we'll ask him about later on during the show and squeeze information out. Welcome, Rich.
Thank you.
And finally, we have our Canada representative, Immersia Escape Games. Maxime, how are you?
And great yourself.
Yes, we're great. Maxime
Awesome.
is the co-owner, game designer, and marketing director. And prior to opening Immersia in 2016, he worked as a product manager and digital marketing specialist for the Canadian Yellow Pages. People around him considered him a gamer, which is probably why he got interested in the escape room industry very early on. Welcome, Maxime. All right, so guys, I'm not going to take up any more time, but if you do have questions, please type it into the comment section below, and we can deliver those questions or comments to our guest. Cece, take it away.
Okay. Well, I mean, I got a whole panel of award-winning creators here.
Yeah,
Everybody's
very excited.
award-winning. So I'm super excited to hear about your creativity and your thought processes to bring these experiences to life. But first, let's get the audience some overview in terms of the current experience that you have, what type of themes, and anything else you'd like to add in terms of, what we didn't cover in the intro. So let's go around and let's start with Rich. Rich is right there.
Okay. Well, I mean, you kind of covered already what we have at Trapped. We have 10 different rooms active right now, so I'm not going to go over all of the themes. But we are currently producing 2 new themes, and I think you said we'll talk about that later. As well as our room, Pandora's Box, was just nominated for in the finals for a Torbico Award. So if anybody who haven't had a chance to check that out, who are voters, come check it out and hey, vote, rank us up there.
Glad we can get that one.
Yeah, we were very excited to squeeze that into our 2023 goals.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and Maxime?
Yes, so we opened our first location in Laval, which is a suburb of Montreal, in 2016. So we have 4 different games over there. So we have like an old shack, a 1930s London cabaret, a time machine, and even like a game show inspired theme. And in 2019, we opened our Boisbriand location, where we have those scenarios that I think are more familiar with the enthusiast community, like the Grand Immersia Hotel, the Salutem Medicina Institute, as well as the Circus of the Lost Souls. I believe Salutem Medicina and the hotel are nominees for Torbica, so we're really excited about that. And yeah, so that's what we have currently, and we're still working on new experiences, which I can talk about a little later on.
Yeah, for
Awesome.
sure.
And we're going to Canada next year, right? So hopefully we can swing by and see you in person. Say hi.
Yeah, for sure.
And somewhere, let's close off the escape room section first.
Yeah. So Locurio did open, as you mentioned, back in 2015. We have 2 escape rooms. We have the Vanishing Act, which is centered around a mystery concerning a magician's missing assistants, which we also have a remote version of. We also have the Story Keeper, which is also a Torbica finalist this year. That is a fantasy adventure game. And then we have a couple of other non-escape room games, one of which is an outdoor puzzle hunt adventure, which is tied into the storyline of the Vanishing Act and is called The Mysteries of Maximilian. And we also have a portable game that is for large groups that we kick off site, and that game is a 1960s spy thriller a la James Bond called The False with Objective.
Ooh, we gotta get to Seattle. Like, what's there's so many games and companies in Seattle. We have to get
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last but not least, we have Terry.
Hello. Yeah, right now we have 2 live shows that we're producing in our venue. One downstairs, which is the Down the Rabbit Hole, which is a Alice in Wonderland inspired karaoke bar with installation art exhibits.
Yeah.
And then upstairs, we're doing something quite different. It's called Spirit Parlor, and it is a ghost gallery where you get to interact with 5 ghosts that have been brought in and learn about how they died and how the connections that there are between their stories. So it's like a storytelling escape room, but you just learn. I would love to bring in more game into that, but it's like a good theater. We're starting to merge game and theater in that one in a cool way. And then we have 3 of our boxes that are escape room boxes that you can purchase and bring into your home, all based upon past shows that we've produced.
Wow. Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, we're here to talk about immersion, and that is a big word in, the industry, and everything we play kind of revolves around that. So we'd like to know, what is your interpretation of immersion? Let's go with Maxime first.
So for me, immersion is, I take the definition like as is from the dictionary, which is being completely involved into something, right? Because I know movie theaters have tried for years to create an immersive experience with like movement on the chairs and 3D glasses and stuff like that. But the reality is the movie is the movie. You can't change it. You can't impact what's going to happen. So for me, that's what immersion is. And then, we can talk about set designs and, technology, special effects and things like that. That's going to impact how good the immersion is. But at the end of the day, that's, and I want to shout out to quickly, Cameron and Haley Cooper from Strange Bird Immersive in Houston, who gave a talk in Boston at the last Recon about the magic circle. And that was such a cool concept to talk about, because it's basically that transition from the real world to the immersive world, and understanding the importance of that concept, which is really simple, but sometimes applying it and being committed to it is often a difficult challenge to really consistently attain. So that's another cool aspect of immersion that I think is important to include in the experience.
Yeah, for sure.
I think there's times when we find I think whenever the one word that comes to mind whenever we're writing reviews for immersive experiences and games is transporting us, because we're like in the moment so much that we forget where we are or how we got there, and we're just in there solving and living this character and experiencing it.
Yeah, until the time is over and I'm like, why is this so
no, back to reality.
Let's go with Summer, and we'll go tell that way.
Yeah, I mean, what Maxime said is totally spot on. Just, immersion for me is something where I'm able to just sort of lose myself in whatever world it is that's been created for me. That I'm not thinking about checking my phone for emails, and I'm not, glued to my phone or thinking just about like normal everyday things. I'm sort of broken away from who I am in my normal reality, and I'm able to just sort of live inside of someone else's head for a little bit. And that's always really cool when people can achieve that.
Yeah,
that's a big one. Who can like not have their phone for like a second these days?
Right. It's like, what phone? I brought a phone?
When you achieve immersion is when you don't need the phone anymore.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Terry.
Well, I just went to the Denver Immersive Gathering, and I sat in a room of about 100 people talking about this. And what I learned is that it's vague and it's huge, and it's just a large encompassing word. But I think Maxime and Summer hit it perfectly. It's storytelling that you don't think about the rest of your life outside of where you are. And you can do that with tactile objects, and you can do that with sights, and you can do it with sounds. But it's taking, you're in the story and you're a part of it. You're not just a voyeur.
Yeah, definitely.
That you're not part of it is a big one too. Like bringing the players into the world that you're in, and having them do certain things so that they feel like they're part of that world.
Right, like they're making an impact on how this game or this experience is evolving because of something they're solving, or gates that they're opening. And so definitely living that and doing that as a character is so important.
Yeah. And Rich,
I don't think there's a whole lot left to add. I think that's a lot.
What they said.
But I think where it relates to escape room, the important thing about immersion is not knowing you're in an escape room. It's being in an experience, not dealing with the things from the outside world. Everything you see and sense should feel like you're really in that scenario. So, locks are great and they have an important role, but when have you ever seen a lock on a hasp and a padlock on a drawer? that doesn't exist in the real world. So we try to avoid that for immersive reasons. Also, I think a big thing for immersion is engaging all your senses. So it's not just about set design. That doesn't create immersion necessarily. There's a lot of other factors. One that I see overlooked a lot in escape rooms is audio, sound. It should be a full immersive experience. And, you know, all your other senses should be involved too, as far as you can. I know taste puzzles can be a little difficult, but I actually did one when we did a trip to Europe. There were some taste related puzzles. So in Pandora's Box, we do some things that involve your sense of touch and feeling things. So all those senses should be engaged.
Yeah, honestly, you hit the right on the nail, because there's times where we played escape rooms where the set design was superb, the puzzles were great, and then I would stop and look at CC like, there's no sound in here. There's no music. Like, you could use some sound or ambiance or something happening. Everything else was on point, but it was just lacking that one thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, sound is always very important. Lighting and all that. Absolutely agree.
And just like Rich said, if you wanted to experience these senses, you go play his Pandora's
Definitely
Box.
go to Pandora's Box. Oh, we have a comment coming in. Let's see. I haven't been to the other three companies, unfortunately, but every time I go to Immersia, I always feel like I'm in a movie and I'm fully part of it. Brings the escape feeling to another level.
Look at that.
Thank you, Miriam, for sharing
Great
that.
shout
Really
out.
appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. So our next question is, can you give us an example of a past or current, without any spoilers in your games, of course, an experience that you feel like you've done in your job in terms of creating that immersion, and how you were able to achieve that? Kind of asking for like secrets.
Yeah, like she's asking for the whole stores. Like, ladies first, Summer.
Oh, yeah.
All right. First and foremost, I don't think immersion is ever perfect. Like, I don't think any of us are able to create something where you're just completely 100% pulled out of yourself, but we're all trying for something close to that. Mm-hmm. And I think that an area that Locurio often gets a lot of positive feedback for is our hint systems. We try to use that as a way to increase the immersion as opposed to breaking you out of the world that you're in, because so often, you're playing, and I know this has been talked about a million times, but you're playing a room where you're in an Egyptian tomb or you're in a prison and there's a big television monitor on the wall, and sometimes you can make that work, right? But but we really try to create immersive hint systems that won't break you out of the game, both via the way they're given to you. So it's a way that we give you hints that doesn't necessarily feel like you're getting hints. It doesn't necessarily make you feel like you're getting help. And also we do what we call game control proctored hinting, which means we don't want you to think about the fact that you are playing a game. We don't want you to think about, oh, I'm doing bad at this puzzle. Do I need help with this puzzle? Let's all argue with each other as far as, do we need help or not? So we really want to take all of that sort of real world stuff out of the game for you so that you're able to just completely focus on what you're doing and be hopefully completely immersed. And so therefore we do the game control proctored hinting, where we watch you and we monitor and we send you little bits of help to get you on the right path when it seems like you need it. So
yeah, it's like a game master / guide with assistance.
Do you get like really enthusiasts who are just like, don't help me at all. Like, don't tell me anything.
We do.
Hands off.
And we always try to, be very cognizant of what people want, because people can definitely be very, very firm about what they do and do not want as far as hinting. That being said, our games, we feel like we do have rather layered and complex puzzles that may not be, there are enthusiasts who have played a lot of games who maybe have played a lot of a certain type of game that the puzzles are a little more straightforward. And so they're not coming in expecting sort of the type of puzzles that you might see in our room. And so we try to tell people, like, we understand that you don't want help, but at some point you may find it welcome, and we'll maybe try to just seed like a little bit of help and see how they react to it. And usually it's positive. So
probably your end goal is more like, I like you to see my entire project I've done and experience rather than
Right, like it's part of the experience. It's not something that
like you missed the ending. Oh, that would have been
Yeah.
like, really great if you saw
Exactly. Yeah, because we try to have stories with complete story arcs, and so yeah, it's for me, it's no fun if you get pulled out halfway through that. So
Yeah. And most of the time, actually, I feel like enthusiasts who play a lot of games are so like okay with hints. It's actually the players who are at the beginning of their stages are like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
I only play one in the escape room, but I'm like on par.
I'm an expert.
Yeah. I'm an expert. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, let's go on because we could chat about this. Like,
Yeah, I know. This is like a dinner discussion. We're at a table eating while talking. Rich?
So along the same lines as Summer, I think a game master plays a super important role in creating immersion. All of our game masters are characters. You're never just, I'm Bob, your game master. They're always a character involved in the story. And in some of our rooms, the character gives plot points that are needed to kind of develop the story and give you information on what you need to do. So I think that's a big thing for creating immersion is using that game master, that person you have there who's introducing them to the story, using that opportunity to create immersion as well and really tie them into what's going on in the experience they're in. As well as the things we discussed before, creating immersion through lighting. We in our newer rooms, we use a lot more lighting techniques, directive lighting, focusing attention, things like that. I think that's super important for focus and to create immersion, focus them on where they should be, as well as the engaging all the senses that we were just talking about.
Yeah, I love that you point that out though in terms of lighting, because sometimes we're in a room and we don't know like what's happening, or there's no like sound alerts and something open. And we're like, what did we do? Did we do it right, or like did we not do anything? I'm just like in that confusion stage. So
sometimes we lose time because we didn't know we already did something.
Yeah,
and it's like you might want to go check that over there, and it's like,
how do we?
We could have done that if we knew that it opened when we did it. But
That's very
I'm not a fan of confusion creating difficulty for the room. That's not how you want to add difficulty to the room.
Absolutely,
that's another topic.
That's another show.
All right, Maxime.
Yeah, Maxime.
Yes. So for us, and I'm 100% on board with what Summer and Rich were bringing up with hint system and game masters and all that. But for us, when we began in 2016, obviously, like a lot of escape room owners, we didn't have a lot of money. And so one thing that I think we were able to succeed in was choosing themes and scenarios that fit our budget and that we knew we were able to achieve something believable and immersive, even though we didn't have a lot of money. It's like, I'm not going to choose to do like a spaceship theme if I'm on a budget and I don't have all the knowledge about the technology that exists or doesn't exist yet, because
right.
So that's a thing that's a decision that we took early on that was very deliberate to do that, to really just, we'll go with an old shack. It's not going to require a lot of budget, but we made sure to add in there a lot of effects like sound, like videos and things like that to make sure that we would make that experience believable. And as we progressed, when we opened our second location, we were like, okay, so we have a bit more money, a bit more space. We're going to go for like a hotel. But we had to make sure we made it believable.
Right.
So, but we had the infrastructure, the space, and the budget to do that. It was a big risk. We didn't really know what we were getting into when we started that, but as we were doing it, we were like, okay, I think we're on the right path here, and the result is, it's one of our most popular scenarios at our Boisbriand location, our second location. So I think that's the thing we were able to gauge well as far as choosing the types of scenarios we do.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think there's a lot of owners that we speak with when they were saying like, oh, we don't have the budget to do it. That's why we're like not at that, immersion or immersive like level or whatnot. But I mean, to your point, totally. Like, you don't need a lot of budget to make something that you can, produce, and because you know it well, and like how that's supposed to feel in real life, and you can like recreate it. But it doesn't need to be like 100K like UFO or something, right? Like, you don't need to do a spaceship. You could do a shack, and that's like probably not gonna cost 100K.
And I'll tell you this: 6 years into it, it's still our most popular scenario at our first location.
Yeah,
and it's still generating positive, reviews and positive reactions, even though it is more first generation-y with more padlocks and things like that. But it's still drawing a lot of reaction.
People love padlocks though. They're like, we can't find them these days anymore. It's like, the rare ones now.
There's been times where Cece and I will play games where it's all tech based, and then it's like, I need to open something. I need to physically like unclick something. So eventually we do get the itch for something traditional.
Not gym lockers, but keys and locks.
Yeah, she hates gym lockers. Not gym lockers.
All right,
Terry.
Yeah, I love to hear the.
So, we send these boxes, these escape room boxes, to people's homes, and so it's really hard to control much of what we don't know what they're doing, if they're doing it with friends, when they're doing it, but we try really hard to encourage them to like get into the mood, so to speak. Like, we give them hints on how to do the lighting in their room, maybe things they can wear. For the witching hour box, we give them an altar cloth with a candle, matches, stones to lay out to like set the feel of the room. And then we do try and include drink ingredients and a little food item so that we encourage people to like enjoy that together before. And because, we started out in dinner theater, and we've always found that when people sit down and they start eating together and drinking together, they're there, and then you can take them on a journey. So we just encourage them to, as much as possible, to play along, and set the setting in their room, and then come with us.
Yeah, and even though you don't have game masters, but in your games, they're pretty much involved in terms of their characters. I think that's like the best like pre-recorded video stories that we played in terms of tabletop. Like, wow, they're actually all like in their character, in storyline, and I feel like as we're watching it, it's like it feels like a show already, like in front of us. Even though I know you have the live shows now, right? Are they the exact replica of the story that's in the? No. Okay.
No, for like the Do Not Disturb box, we did a live show in 2018. So in this version, in the box version, you basically get more storyline. You meet some more characters. The idea has always been that if we, now that we're back to live stuff, if we can do a live production and a take-home box production, and they just grow the world. They can be independent of one another, but you could do the box and be inspired and be like, I want to see that live production, or see the live production and be like, I really want to know what this is all about. Take home the box and just learn more and experience more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're talking about these with our guests and these games. Maybe we should give a little sneak peek or some sort of trailers of what throughout the show of what we're. I'm pretty sure everyone's played your games and visited you guys, but for those who haven't, maybe just a little taste. I guess we'll talk. We'll show a little bit about Nordo's game, the Witching Hour. Witching Hour?
Yeah, that's one of them.
All right.
One of them.
Well, that's one of them. Here's the one we have. I believe it is the Witching Hour. Check this out.
Delayed.
It is a little delayed.
Is it because our internet is?
Or this could actually be the trailer. It's very cinematic.
That's all you get. 2 seconds. Otherwise, so like close enough. All right, let's try the other one.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. Let's go over to Immersion. Here we go.
What are they all?
Wow.
We've never had
very
glitch and a glitch.
You know what it is? I think it's because we're not in our home and our internet is quite slow here.
That could be it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of glad we're like nothing's wrong with it.
But you got a little taste. When I said a little taste, you literally got a little taste.
Yeah. If we do, disappear again, feel free to host a show. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of you can create immersion on the spot.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, back to my question then, in that case. I was on Terry, so I'm just going to ask this question now. Creating tabletop games must be, very difficult in terms of, it's very different, like you said, for in-person experiences because you're missing that element that you could do with the lighting. You're expecting the players to do that with the sound, also expecting them to do that. So how do you make it up in terms of that aspect in your games? I know you talked a little bit about, giving them links and things like that.
Yeah, I think it does come down to like creating a character for the person who's involved. And we've always tried to do that in theater, and we tried to take that over. Like as an audience member in our theaters, we try and tell you like who you are and why you're there in the room and why you're seeing what's going on. We tried to take that to our games. Like you're connected to these people that are in the game. I don't know, sometimes it's a family connection, or maybe you were just adopted into this secret society or whatever it is, that you have a reason to be there. And that's the number one immersion. And then the other thing that I think we try and do, and I think we're pretty successful at, is creating very tactile objects in the game. Do good graphic design, good paper quality, whatever it is, something that's really believable, so that when you pull the objects out, you're not dealing with plastic or I don't know, you don't want it to feel cheap. You want it to feel real. And that gets people excited. And they buy into really, I don't know, I love objects, little fetish objects or old newspapers or whatever. And the more that you can draw people in through those items, the more you immerse them in the experience.
Yeah. And I can vouch for like those biscuits are really good.
Yeah, I wouldn't know because she didn't leave me any. Like she just
gave me a little bit of the cream. That's all I.
Yeah, a little bit, dab of cream.
Yeah. I think them and the only other food collab with a tabletop game is the one from Vampire Pizza from the Escape Box. Yeah, which is pretty awesome. All right. So, I mean, this question is now for all the escape room owners. So do you feel like you must have the added on things like special effects, live actors in order to make a game immersive? So if not, like, what other types of tools do you have in your pockets that you could share? Who do we want to go with? Let's go with Rich again.
Yep, Rich.
So do you have to? No. Does it make it easier? Yes. So the things we talked about, lighting, sound, and all this stuff. I mean, you can create immersion through a really good story. You could bring in actors. You can create immersion through a lot of ways, but it's hard to create good immersion without lighting and sound and all the things that we've already talked about. So the answer is no, it's not necessary, but it's really hard to do without.
Okay, so narrative is quite important, like having a good story to start with, for sure.
And that's what it all boils down to. The rest is all just icing on top. Is having a good story, having characters, having things you're doing in the escape room make sense towards what you're doing. For example, not just doing random puzzles, but puzzles that achieve your objective. Yeah. So whatever your objective is, when you're completing a puzzle, it shouldn't be just I'm doing a Sudoku so I can open this box to get to the next step. It should be I'm doing this thing because it makes sense on my way to my objective. So that immersion within the puzzles, I think, is super important as well. And that's something.
Progression. You're progressing through the story, and there's reasons on why and how you did that.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just doing random puzzles to progress literally through the game. It's progressing me to my objective.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too difficult in the Sudoku, even though you're progressing.
You just hate Sudoku. That's Summer?
Yeah, I mean, Rich took the words out of my mouth. I don't think there's any one tool that is absolutely necessary for immersion. If I had to pick one, it would probably be lighting, just because you can go into the most beautiful set of all time, and if they left the fluorescent lighting fixtures in the ceiling, unless you're in an office, like it's just not going to work. But that being said, I think that you know, a lot of people get scared from trying to make something that's more immersive because they don't have a background in theater, so they're not comfortable working with actors, or they don't know lighting and sound, so they're scared to sort of venture into that realm. But I think that if you can pick up on a few aspects that you do have in your toolbox, focus on those, and those can go a really long way. And then if you want to experiment with things that you're not comfortable with, hire outside of your company, like hire consultants. There's no shame in that. Like I can't do tech. I can barely plug something into the wall, but you know, I hire outside of my company for that. Meanwhile, my background is in theater, in acting and writing, so I'm very comfortable putting a script together, directing actors. But I mean, I've played a game that's one of the most memorable games I've played, and it's a very basic one room, small set. The lights are basically just dim, and there's an actor in the room with you who's telling you a story as you go. And it's incredibly immersive, but there's not a whole lot going on there. There's not a big fancy set. I think that there was a little bit of sound. There was certainly a little bit of lighting. But it's amazing how far just a really intriguing story that's conveyed in a good way, how far that can go.
Yeah. Care to give a shout out to what company and what game that was?
That sounds like Sleep No More when I was in the creepy little room with the
There's no puzzles to solve in Sleep No More.
When I got let in by the guy.
I don't want it to be a spoiler because I mentioned it was a small game, but
okay.
Somebody wants to know.
I don't know that would necessarily be a spoiler. You can see it's a small room as soon as you walk in. That was Arcane in Santa Clarita, California, Ghost of Mentryville.
Okay.
Sadly, I don't know if they're running it anymore. I think they stopped due to the pandemic because of the person in the room with you. But I really hope they bring it back at some point because it's a really amazing experience for being very simple at heart.
Okay.
Good to know.
Yeah, shout out to them. And
sometimes just simplicity is the best. So.
Yeah. And last but not least, Maxime?
Oh, Terry didn't.
Yeah.
You asked Terry, we're still in Escape Room Mona question.
Oh, that's true.
So for us, all of our games have sort of the same foundation, right? We're building the story. That's really the first thing we do. Establish the story, the setting, and in terms of technology and things that for the listeners, a lot of them might want to dig deeper into the details. We use a program called QLab. I don't know if others are familiar with that. We have someone internally who's very he's good at using QLab, and we're using it on every one of our games. It's something used in the theater business to manage lighting, sound, and all that stuff. And what's cool about that is it's our foundation for all of our games. But every game that we've created after that, we've added new stuff, and we're still discovering new things as we build our games, because we try to build our games without thinking about the technology. We try to build our games with, the idea has to win, and then we'll figure out how we do it. And that approach allowed us to discover a lot of things that we didn't know exist as far as technology that we can add to our different games. So that approach is a bit risky for sure, but it's been working out for us in terms of putting our ideas to life without having to worry too much preemptively about, is it going to work?
Right. Yeah.
So this was a Q lab. Can you actually monitor everything through like a iPad or something? You can turn certain rooms lights off, on, dim it.
Yeah.
Make it loud.
It's pretty much it controls pretty much everything. It's extremely flexible in terms of what it can do. It's powerful. Like we can control like a projector and have two things projected at the same time. On the same projector. So anyways, it's there's a lot of stuff that we can do with that
really need good Wi-Fi.
No, actually it's all hardwired.
It's all hardwired. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's even better.
Yeah, no room for any
Yeah.
disruption.
That's awesome. Let me just see him saying that he's like, oh, okay, now I came up with a new idea because I can do 2 projectors and
Right.
because if you didn't have that technology, then the idea probably wouldn't develop from that.
No, exactly. And that's how we started our company. Actually, we wanted to do something. We absolutely had no idea how we would do it, and then someone came up with that program and started playing with it, and we were like, this does exactly what we're looking for, so let's use that.
Cool.
Usually it's like the reverse. It's like we have an idea, but we can't find a way to implement it. So
Yeah, that kind of like it was like
I'm
fate.
so glad yours worked out the other way. That's great.
We got
a few comments,
Ghosts of Mentryville is excellent.
Okay.
Our previous guest, Spencer's Puzzling.
Yeah.
Great, thanks for shout out.
She
By the
also
way, if anyone else has any recommendations or games that were immersive that were, you want to like just name drop or shout out, please type it in the comment section. Also, for people who want to get out there and see what's out there. Yeah,
for sure. Rich's beard.
Rich, I believe your beard gives +10 to your wisdom.
Oh,
and
okay.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spencer.
Yeah.
Now you're like the most believable person here now. Like with everything you're saying is like
It's like he knows what he's talking about. This guy.
I got a beige background. That's not any credit.
Pirate flag.
Yeah, he's in character right now. And then yes, Mark, totally agree. If you know that you're an immersive experience, if you like look up and then
That's a
you
big
totally
one.
didn't even know that you're
Yeah, with the ceiling tiles, please.
and the whole time you feel like you're literally on a
That is a
submarine.
big one.
Yep.
You need to get that done. All right, so another question I have for you guys is, what do you feel like the players should take away at the end of the day if you're like super happy about this? Like, oh, I'm glad the players took away this, like after the game has been played. To you, like, what is worth
The ultimate
like,
achievement.
Yeah. That like 5-star in your heart.
Terry?
I mean, I think it would come down to a couple of simple things. One, they feel like they achieved something. You just get that sense of like, oh, I did it. I solved it. Or I told the story or whatever it is. Just so people have a sense of completion, I think is really important. And then the other one I think is that people feel like they did something with other people. They walk away and they're like, we had a great time together. We laughed.
Right.
We were challenged. And we did a thing together and it felt good, and they walk away with that sense. I mean, that's
Teamwork.
teamwork. Yeah. And that's what you want people to, they leave. I mean, I really want people to have a sense of wonder when they do our things, and like, wow, how did that happen and whatever. But, if people just walk away feeling like, gosh, I had a great time and I did something, then you're good. Then they're going to want to come back. They're going to want to hear more. You can give them more stories, more narratives, more whatever, because they feel like they came out on top. It's that whole like, be the hero, solve the quests, and save the whatever. Yeah.
I'm getting a little choked up. I was really emotional. I know that feeling, you walk away and it's like, cease, we did it. It was so wonderful and amazing.
Yeah. Am I hearing a little echo, or is it just from our end? Do you guys hear
so.
an echo? I just want to make sure that it's not from your
Somebody's
end.
hacking
Okay,
into our show.
good. Your cell phone. Anyway, so Summer.
Yeah, joy is sort of the number one thing I want people to walk away with. The teams that are high-fiving and cheering each other is awesome. So people that walk away with a smile is great. But also I want people to walk away feeling like they just got to play for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, and that's okay. Like, it's okay for us to be kids again. It's okay for us to just play with abandon and live in our imaginations. And I think that's such an important thing that as adults we don't get to experience very often. And I think that's one of the things that makes escape rooms so great and so and other immersive experiences and so popular these days, is just because you just get to kind of let loose and have fun. And what a special, amazing thing that is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we're, for most people probably have like a regular like 9 to 5 job or something like that. And then for them to become a different type of personality, like sometimes there's different personalities, comes out when you're in an escape room or when you're playing a tabletop game too, that it's not like your regular, personality that you would like show people in an office space, right? You're like, oh wow, this guy is really competitive. I thought they actually don't speak a word at all when they're in there. So
Right, yeah.
I'm like, how is he like hogging all the puzzle now? But that's
It's funny when you get a bunch of introverted people in an escape room and who normally would not like initiate conversation or anything with each other, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, and they just start like, familiarizing themselves with each other and talking and communicating and collaborating, and it's so amazing to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Rich?
So I think what I want them to walk away with is a feeling of wow. What I don't want them to walk away with was a feeling of defeat. So what I mean by that is, wow, we just went through an experience. It was incredible, regardless of how we did. The experience was amazing. It was so much fun. The things that happened were not things that happened in my normal life. I don't want them to have a feeling of defeat, like we just went in, we're stupid. It was fun laughing at ourselves, but let's not do that again. And unfortunately, that's kind of the older model of escape rooms, where let's create the impossible room. Let's have 10% escape rate or 5% escape rate. Like, that's not what we're about. In fact, when we design our rooms now, all of our rooms at Trapped are adaptive difficulty rooms, meaning the room actually changes as you're playing it. So that can be from a puzzle being replaced with a more difficult puzzle during the process of the room, or additional puzzles opening themselves up. And there's going to be, in our new rooms, there's going to be a lot more examples of this, as opposed to our old what we used to call the bonus puzzles, which was a couple at the end of the game. And the idea is that a group off the street, we're in Vegas, so we get a lot of people coming from the Strip that aren't necessarily escape room people. They just heard about it and wanted to do a thing. So when they come and do it, obviously the room can't be the same for them as it is for the I've done 250 escape rooms group. So that's where our adaptivity comes in, so that we can give everyone a feeling of everyone within reason. There's a certain amount of groups you just can't. Well, you can, but you can't do enough. So without being insulting and just handing people things. So yeah, we want people to walk away with wow and wonder, and not feeling defeated like they're dumb.
Yeah, I think that's a big one too in terms of the wellness, because as like enthusiast who plays like so many escape rooms,
it's
like,
hard to be wowed.
It's I mean, like, yeah, like for you to have that like word wow, like maybe a year ago was like wow, and then now it's like wow,
super wow, and then like holy cow, wow.
There's so many wow. But I love that when you're saying about the adjustments of the difficulty levels, because like you really can please everybody, and you also have your own demographic. Like you said you're in Vegas, so your crowd to please is probably different than if
very mixed.
Escape rooms are in like Boston, Massachusetts, where they're surrounded by Ivy League students who are coming in to play a room and finish in 50 minutes. So like it's definitely different in terms of what type of puzzles that you have to create and put in those rooms than people who probably will come in intoxicated, and I don't know.
What are you trying to say about Vegas? Everyone's there to party or something?
Everything stays in Vegas, whatever you do. So yeah. But anyway, that's great.
Yeah, Maxime?
Yes, so I 100% agree with all of you guys. What I would add to that is what I realized after we, started making escape rooms and all that. What people remember from our games is some specific moments. Mm-hmm. And as an example, there might be a moment where there's like something scared them, and the game they played for 95 minutes doesn't matter. The only thing that they remember when they get out is that moment, this guy's hands came out or whatever. It's oftentimes it's these moments that people remember when they come out of escape rooms. And that's what we realized as we continued creating games. What we want to do is create that special moment, that surprise moment, that twist that sort of changes the game and brings a new aspect to it. And we're trying to do this with most of our games that we're creating. And sometimes it's something as stupid as, a character coming in, make sure you hide from the character, or something that is very simple to accomplish, and yet that's what people remember at the end of the experience, and they still talk about that for months after they've played the game. So we're always trying to bring a little surprise moment and something memorable for the end.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like, we're about 750 games, started in 2018, and some of the most memorable ones for me were actually in 2018, that long ago, because something was so distinct that happened. I was like, I can never forget that, because that was, even though, like, I probably seen it, like, after that, like, different variations of it, but it's that first time that you saw that and you experienced that, whether it was immersive or a puzzle or a character or something, it was just like, wow.
Yeah,
I'm never going to forget that. That's crazy.
And then as you guys are talking about like moments, I think a really big aspect of it is also the the either like a beginning or the ending that has to be very like special, because you could play the entire game and feel really great about it, and then it's like, weak ending. Like, they just couldn't. They don't know what to do with the ending.
Ending
so
is so important. Yeah.
Like, left it open or something. So yeah, that's definitely something else, another topic. So I know you guys probably played a lot of games because you're probably enthusiasts yourself. I think Summer's like probably more than us.
I probably.
Yeah, no, I saw the number like when she was entering for the.
I think I'm at 786.
Yeah, I knew.
No.
He beat us.
We know Rich plays because we played Rich and.
I've only done like 400. I'm just getting started.
I'm just a baby.
It's weird when you tell people. Some people are like, "Wow," and some people are like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah,
it's always a different reaction.
It's not bad. But anyways, number wise, I mean, it really doesn't mean anything, because at that point, like, Rich is a really picky player. That's why he's only 400 something.
Right.
He's like,
and it's worldwide. If you play locally or worldwide, when you get a chance
to play.
Yeah.
Anyway, so. What is something that makes your games different from some of the other ones you've seen in the industry?
Ooh. Who wants to be the first one to answer this one?
We have answers. Yeah. Who do we start with? Let's go with Terry.
Terry? Okay.
I feel like I'm a little bit of an advantage because you guys are all in like escape rooms, and that's hard, I know, to like come up with that. What is that distinct thing? Because it's a big field. I mean, I'm doing these things that people take into their homes, and one of the things I feel like we've done well is that we're based on a theater. We have costumes, we have props people, we have like this whole infrastructure that has allowed us to like put on decently filmed pieces, because we did a show. We had all these costumes fit to people. We have actors to call upon that were desperate to work during the shutdown of, And so we had this already this built-in team of people that were used to working together and making items and making props and making costumes and making sets. So when we brought them together to make these escape room boxes, we were like, well, we've got to put some of this on film, because that's something that we can do that a lot of other ones are not doing. Right. So I think we were able to do that. It propels the story. I know it can take you out of the world that you're watching a computer screen, but hopefully the story, like, we tried to keep them really short and sweet, so you get a bit of story and then you're dropped back into the room with the items where you have to do a puzzle, or, so that you're going back and forth between the storytelling on the screen and the storytelling in your room. But I think that's something that we were able to do that's different than the other take-home boxes.
Yeah, the imagery is very important because some of the other tabletops games we play has a really great narrative and storyline, but then you have to imagine it in your head, you know, like what it is, and it's much harder to do than when you actually can relate to the video of the actual character playing who they are.
Right,
So,
he's actually providing the visuals along with the experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to my scene.
Yeah, so we like to think that we do everything well. That's
Great.
That's one thing. But obviously, in terms of what, and it's not me saying that, like what I'm hearing from different, whether it's enthusiasts or even bloggers, it's how we integrate video in our game specifically. It's something that we did from day one to integrate video as part of, because we at first we didn't think about necessarily introducing actors within our games. So we wanted to still have characters, but that were present in video format. But we did it in a way that people really got into it, because we got actual actors, like people that, and it didn't feel like it was just some someone that we picked off as a friend who, hey, can you play this character? No, we have someone internally who's like an actor in Quebec. So we pretty much use him on every one of our games with different characters. So basically, that's probably the element that makes us stand out on top of everything else we do pretty well, but that a lot of companies now are doing well as well, like set design and all that. Like I think the bar has gone up significantly since 2016 when we opened. But that is one aspect that we've definitely seems like from the comments I'm getting that we've done well.
Yeah. So you mean I'm not going to see you in videos?
I might be, but I know that I'm in one where I wear like a mask or something and you can't see my face.
A lot of times when we go and we watch the intro video, we're like, hey, just saw you.
Yeah.
The game master or the owner's in it too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
You're the Christmas Santa Claus this
Yep.
time?
Yeah. Well, the preview you were going to show,
yeah,
I was one of the characters.
Oh man, now I'm let's give it another go and hold on.
We can share links after the show, though, in case people want to check it
Absolutely,
out.
I will definitely drop these links in the YouTube description so you can click it. Rich?
So I think just the things that we've already talked about today, just engaging your senses. Our game masters always playing a character kind of adds to the immersion of it, as well as the adaptive rooms, which is something I kind of hope that picks up more in this industry. I've always hated that time is your score, because if I'm really enjoying an experience, why should my objective be to make it as short as possible? It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Definitely, especially as reviewers, like, we're never really concerned about the time because we're always trying to absorb as much as possible just for memory's sake and writing, things that we liked and, stood out for us. But a lot of the times we're not trying to like race through the room because we can't do that.
I mean, like, if you're a player and you pay for 60 minutes, you really want to get out in 30, like, we can't even ask for like a refund of 50%.
Can I get 50% off because I got out like 30 minutes?
And I'm sure all of us here who've done a lot of rooms have had examples when you get out in 20 minutes and you're like, awesome, I did great. Well, I got 40 minutes left. I guess we'll just go do something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh, what do I do?
Can we run through it again?
Another team in?
Yeah, right.
So, all right.
Summer?
Yeah, just go back in and reset the whole game.
Yeah, second
We'll
time
get
around.
another quick team in there.
Yeah. Well, I love what Maxime said about the bar raising all the time, because I think that's so true. And I think it's really great because I think there are things that made Locurio stand out in the past that are less unique now, which I think is fantastic, because I think it means that everyone is working a little harder to do more things that are exciting and push the boundaries. That being said, if I had to choose something that I think still makes us stand out a bit. And present company not included, because I've played at both of your places, the 2 escape room owners, and they're all great. And but we really focus on having a story and not just a theme. And I think that, I think a majority of escape rooms still are more focused on having a theme, where it's, you're breaking out of the prison, you're, in a castle, whatever it is. And even if you give that brief bit of narrative up top where you're like, you're breaking out of prison because you were wrongfully convicted and your former cellmate left something behind for you, it's sort of like you just seed a little bit of story up top, and then that all kind of goes away. For the most part, you never hear about, if there was a character mentioned at the beginning, you never hear about them again. If you're breaking out of prison because the guards are gone for their 60-minute break, they never come back. Like, so much of that is not really true story. That's just little seeds you can sprinkle in. But if you have a real story with characters and with an engaging plot, then you are actually making discoveries about that story as you progress through the experience. And so you're more a part of it. You're actually taking part of a story, and it's not just sort of like this bare box that's been put around you. It's a full environment. And so I think having really fleshed out stories is something that we're decent at, and that I would really like to dive even deeper into moving forward. So.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to also add to that, because we recently had a conversation with an owner as well in terms of like what to build for her next room and, themes and things like that. And I mean, like, we were talking about uniqueness, because there's just like played out pirates rooms, Egyptian theme rooms and temples and things like that. And even if you were saying a little twist in like the story or the theme of the room could go like another far a yard into a different type of temple. Like it doesn't have to be a temple in the past. Maybe it's a temple in the future, right? Like it's just totally adds on to like what you're trying to do. Like uniqueness is I feel like what the market is striving for now.
I mean, popular themes are great because it's relatable to the people who are enthusiasts or not enthusiasts. It's like, oh, I love Pirates of the Caribbean. But then, like you said, if you were to make it yours and add a little twist to it, where it's not a typical pirate story, but it's something that has something that makes it really unique, then you have a masterpiece, because it appeals to everybody. It's not just for enthusiasts who played a million pirate games. This is a different pirate game.
It's like, ooh, but this one is
right. It's a different type of pirate
game. Not your typical pirate game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Do we want to like include a few other?
We have a shout out to, let's see what this one is. Wardrobe for sale at ESCAPETHEROOMers in Laval. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But definitely going to put that one on the list. And Grand Immersia Hotel. Does that seem to be your most popular one, Maxime? Grand Immersia Hotel?
Yeah, I would have to say at our out of all of our games, that's the one that's the most popular.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds like I would totally go for it. Like
that one
hotel.
Or the.
And I second Miriam on Wardrobe for Sale. It's a spectacular game at ESCAPETHEROOMers, which is a neighbor of us.
Nice.
Canada.
Yeah, need to go.
Our list for Canada is just
it's growing. Way too big. I can't to like fly to go to the other city. It's not like a driving type.
No, we're gonna rent a jet and just keep going.
Oh
and
wow!
Land up.
I was like, oh wow, I never.
Okay. We have a question from Mark. Do any of the guests ask for feedback from the players afterwards to see if there's anything that broke the immersion? Do you guys ever ask for like things that took them out of the experience?
Interesting.
We definitely do that during beta test. We don't do that after every game, but one of the things we always do is it's very important to me that we do a wrap up with the guests after. So we always ask them about their experience, and we're open and receptive to any feedback we get.
Okay,
that's great. Anyone else add?
Yeah, we definitely ask if people have any questions, but I don't think we've ever asked outside of playtesting if something broke their immersion, because I think even asking that breaks the immersion.
That's true. That is a double.
Catch 22. For us, we do take feedback. We have like surveys that we hand out after. We don't necessarily ask that question specifically, but sometimes from the comments that we get, we understand that we're on the right track on a lot of things, including the way our game masters are managing the games, and the way we decided from a design perspective to implement them in the game. And like, I think it was Summer that was saying that earlier, about game masters, I believe, being an important part, or Rich maybe, but anyways, or clues. It was clues, yes. So the inclusion of clues being a big breaker in breaking the immersion, actually, like having a walkie-talkie and not understanding what's going on can be just that little thing that totally breaks it.
Right. Yeah.
That's like one of those sweating moments when we only have like 2 minutes left. I'm like, what channel are you on? Like,
is this thing on?
I think I moved it by accident.
That's when you start taking out your phone, going to the website, calling their number. Pick up.
Yeah. And Terry?
No, definitely during playtesting, we ask people those questions. But I think in people's comments and reviews, you can kind of tell when they say something that you're like, oh, that's when they lost the thread. They were taken out because that thing didn't work. Or, I don't know, you look up and you see the ceiling tiles, and you're like, oh, that person is looking at my ceiling tiles. That's not immersive, or whatever. You can tell from people's comments where they lost the storytelling, I think.
For your tabletop game, like when people log in to like play the game because you have a portal, do you guys track progression, like in terms of people's accounts, like where they are at? I know certain games you can see it. Yeah,
we can. We're not tracking it live, but if somebody writes us and says like, I got stuck here, we can usually go back and see what happened, and it's frustrating because different browsers act differently. It's a whole host of different reasons why something might go wrong on those portals, but you can usually track it down and be like, oh, they just got stuck here. But sometimes it's just a tech thing, but yeah, we can track.
Because I'm just wondering, it's like, you haven't touched a game in like 7 days. You should go back and continue on this journey. Everything, like, there's a little nudge.
This is a little bit too long of a break.
Yeah, exactly.
From the different swings we're playing, remember?
Yeah, but we literally.
Show, and I was like, I just went to eat dinner. I'll be back like after an hour and a half.
No, we switched to another game, and then we had to come back, and it's like, did they forget about us?
I just didn't know that they could do that.
No, I just assume people just are having fun and having drinks, and they'll wander back.
Yeah.
That is
You'll
true.
be back one day. All right, so give us one experience or if you have two, whatever many, that you encountered in the past that you were immersed by, and were you inspired by it in any way? Let's go with, should we go with Maxime?
Sure. Maxime?
All right. Once, it was a couple years ago, we went to New York, and obviously we did Sleep No More, and it's awesome. It's great. I know everyone loved that experience. I loved it myself. But one I want to talk about is one that unfortunately doesn't exist anymore, and it was called Then She Fell. I don't know if anyone on the panel here has done that.
I really wanted to.
Yeah, I know. I didn't do it, but many friends did, and I heard great things. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was basically Alice in Wonderland in a psych ward kind of setting.
Okay.
And it's immersive theater, so it's not like escape room specifically, but as opposed to Sleep No More, where it's more like a free roaming experience, this was a more guided experience where, it was from scene to scene you would be going, but you would have interactions in some of them with characters. Sometimes you'd have one-on-one. Sometimes it'd be like a bigger scene, and just the way the characters were interacting with each other and with the spectators. It was so there's so many memorable moments from that experience and obviously we're not doing immersive theater per se, but it's definitely something that potentially we want to explore in the future, and that experience is definitely going to be part of the inspiration as to how we want to do this and how we might want to accomplish this, and maybe include some sort of escape room-esque elements in there, because part of it also was that you could, there were moments where you could just go into the drawers and find a piece of paper that would say something, love letters and whatnot, and you could read them. And so it allowed you to explore a little bit as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, totally memorable experience, worth the trip. Unfortunately, doesn't exist anymore, but definitely an awesome.
But that's similar to what Summer was saying about it's a popular theme, like Alice in Wonderland, millions of Alice in Wonderland escape rooms, but then you have that psych ward element that's added to it that makes it like, whoa, completely unique, adding a little twist here.
Yeah, I mean, like, even though it's closed, you could probably go to Meow Wolf. I feel like it's very
I was gonna say Meow Wolf is very similar.
3 locations.
If you do come to New York, though, Doors of Divergence, highly recommended. Great blend of escape rooms and immersive experience. So,
well, send me the information by email. I want to check it out. We're 5 hours from New York, so it's the kind of thing we can I can drive there.
Oh,
we can.
You
Also
know what? We're gonna head to you if you're only 5 hours from us.
5 hours. Okay. All right. Let's go to Rich.
So actually along the same lines, it's another immersive theater thing. This one's called, the company's Delusion. It's in the LA area. They have an actual old house, and it's very character driven. It's narrated kind of walkthrough, but there are activities that you can do. It's not an escape room for sure, but there are character involvements that I really enjoy. I really think
that's John Braver, right? John Braver?
Are you talking about one of their like horror ones?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the Halloween one they did this year. I went this year and then last year.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I'm going next weekend.
All right.
Nice. Yeah, I think where our reviewers went, and he was like every year he's like
every year annual thing. There's a lot of good ones out there.
Yeah, Summer.
Yeah.
Summer probably has a list. She's what's going to.
Yeah, hang on. No, I actually Delusion's great. Yeah, I'm excited to go next weekend. So I have not actually gotten to do Sleep No More yet. I'm dying to. Also missed out on Then She Fell. But just a couple of weeks ago, I got to do Burnt City in London, which is another Punch Drunk show.
Yep.
Yeah, and like just super, super well done, and really struck me sort of the tone of reverence, for lack of a better word, that they're able to bring out in their audience. And it's really amazing because they do 3 things that I think really add to that, which are, 1, the audience is not allowed to speak. That's a very much Punch Drunk thing. You cannot talk. 2, you wear a mask. Every audience member wears a mask, so it kind of takes away your individuality. You kind of become a blank slate, just like everyone else. And 3, you almost always get separated from whoever you came with. So you end up just on a very individual journey, but yet blank slate individual journey, and not being able to talk and only being able to sort of observe, but observe from inside of it, because it is immersive and you're right there with the actors. I just thought that it was really beautifully done, and it's so interesting to me how immersive theater has to find ways to do things like that, because it's not a traditional setting where the audience is purely an observer sitting in a darkened auditorium where, we all sort of know we're not supposed to talk and we're separated. They're in the light, we're in the dark. Immersive theater is very much a different beast. So I find that really interesting, the ways that Punch Drunk has found to sort of work with that, with making the audience part of things, but also this inherent reverence that makes them still sort of appreciate things and be able to live inside of that, but without catcalling.
Right.
That's kind of like the UK version of Sleep No More. We have to.
Yeah.
Nice. And Terry, lastly.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, I was just in Denver, and so I just want to call out one thing there. It was by the Exposure Project, and it was a seance where the person leading the seance is Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, telling the story of Harry Houdini, who has died. And you're given the name character of one of the spiritualists at the time. And I only saw a half-hour version of it. They have a longer version, but the the tricks. I mean, first the storytelling and the acting were great, but you're sitting in the room and they're using old seance tricks and from the late 1800s, early 1900s. And I was just amazed. It's just like magic, but magic tricks that are 1 feet away from you, you know, it's just like, and I was enthralled because I was like, oh, this has been going on for so long. We've been doing immersive like storytelling with an actor. It was a seance and a spiritualist thing maybe 100 years ago. Now we call it immersive theater. I don't know. Was it much different? You know, but I was just really enthralled by the storytelling and what I thought they could pull off. Very talented magic.
Yeah. I love using magic in this escape room.
Yeah, especially it's because it's very intimate too. Like when they're demonstrating, especially in person, up close magic, and then it's part of the experience. It's
Check out Servants of Slight.
Oh yeah, Servants of
Florida.
Slight in Florida. If you have not,
So that's a good one too.
pretty sure these are all ones that are done and everyone knows about.
Yeah. All right. So then I'm gonna have the last question, and we're gonna go to your upcoming
Oh,
ventures.
we get to squeeze some information.
So, speaking of feeling realness, this is very interesting because I've only talked with a few owners about this. What do you feel about VR, AR in games? Do you guys think this could be something that could be implemented in your future games? Should we go? Let's go to Rich, and then we'll go around.
So that's a very interesting question. So I think AR and VR has a ton of possibilities. However, I think one of the things that makes escape rooms unique is the tactile aspect of it, that you're physically there in that space. I think it's kind of ironic that people are bringing escape rooms back to a digital because that's kind of where it started. With digital and real in life escape room is what became this industry. To go back to completely VR, I don't think is the future of the industry, but using AR, that allows you to do some really cool things and pull off some really cool effects. So I think not full VR, but AR definitely has a ton of possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay. Summer?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think it's interesting, but I think that what especially drew me to escape rooms was being in that physical environment and being able to be tactile with things. I do think both have possibility. I think that once we can, especially with like AR, once we can get out of like something you have to put over your head or something, like the better the possibilities to come. I personally don't have any immediate plans to design around VR or AR just because I don't feel like they're quite at a place where I feel comfortable integrating them, but I do think that there's potential in the future.
Okay.
And Terry, I mean, tabletop, I feel like we've seen already used. So.
AR for at home.
Yeah, there's bits of that in the tabletop for sure. And I think there's more room for it in the tabletop because you need to engage people in a different way. But the live escape rooms, I totally agree with you guys. It's I think it's still a ways off. And you have to find a reason why you're using it. Like maybe somebody puts a helmet on and something happens, but there's a reason why you're putting the helmet on. I don't know. But it's just I think it's the live is what we all love. But yeah, with the tabletop things, we needed to include some of that to forward the story along. We felt.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's still a ways off as a technology for really engaging a lot of people,
Maxime?
Yeah, we're definitely doing some R&D on that aspect in terms of especially AR, VR. I think VR is more like standalone for now, at least. It's more like a standalone experience that can be, because I know that Ubisoft develops like escape room specific games that can be played in certain places where you have room and the equipment and all that. But VR within an escape room, like whoever's going to pull out that trick and make it like incredibly believable in terms of, and without weird transitioning into that or whatever, I mean, they're going to deserve a medal or something because that's going to be a challenge. But yeah, AR, there's definitely cool tricks that can be done that doesn't disrupt the experience from an escape room perspective, and it might be stuff that we look at implementing if it makes sense. Always in that perspective.
We actually played a game where we were supernatural investigators, and one of our electronic devices was an AR device, so we were able to hold it up to certain things in the room that allowed us to detect stuff. So that totally made sense for why we needed it, why we used it. So obviously, AR, right? Having that in there for the right reasons and elevating the experience because of that is genius. I mean, you can do that.
I mean, the only reason why I asked is because I remember we had a conversation with an owner previously, and he was saying how like if we were doing a VR game and you already had like tactile objects around the room, and the room is for you to like you're wearing a VR going in, and then you actually are picking up tactile items and then placing it at places that are inside your head. You're like in a VR world. So I guess it's for like, for instance, if you didn't have a huge space, right, but you wanted to build like a castle. And somehow you want to feel like you're in a castle and you're taking up a sword and putting it somewhere.
But you're starting to experience.
Combine and utilize the VR aspect of it to make it feel more real than the small room that you're in and that you couldn't make a castle out of it, I guess.
Yeah, so, but you're starting the experience as a VR as opposed to squeezing it in there somewhere along the way where it's like all of a sudden the transition was now it's VR.
Yeah, I'm excited though to see if someone can do it well.
Yeah,
well, I know that I think the Star Wars experience in Disney was somewhat in that fashion where the void, exactly.
Yeah.
They had something like that where things were tactile in the room, which were represented in the VR helmet. I know people that have done it and like they wanted to redo it, but I think VR still has a problem of it's such a tough sell because until you have the helmet on your head and you experience something, it's impossible to understand what it's like to see VR, because when people stream VR or you see videos, it's nowhere near what it feels like when it's on your head.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, some they gotta make it more comfortable. Sometimes they're really heavy. That's all I'm saying. And they have a string attachment. I'm like, damn it! And you have to charge the batteries. All right, there's just a lot.
You need instructions, a tutorial, walkthrough, and
All right. So, lastly, can you guys share with us about your upcoming adventures that you're working on? Anything that you can give away? I mean, like things that you can't say, obviously, but whatever you can.
Just remember what you say here.
Oh yeah, don't
promise
in
like
stone. It's gonna be done in like 10 days. Okay, no one's gonna do that. Okay.
Ballpark figure.
Yeah. So somewhere, because I know she said she has plans of a new.
What are these plans?
Place?
Yes. So we're a pretty slow growing company. If it's obvious, we've been open for 7.5 years and we have 2 escape rooms. But part of that was the pandemic, obviously. We had plans to do an entire expansion location in 2020. But so we're trying to get that back off the ground now. It's just been really hard, surprisingly, to find a space. But the plan is second location, all new experiences, minimum of 3. Again, hopefully if this all works out.
Right.
And a whole sort of overworld with it as well. So I'm very excited about that. We really want to try to start leaning more into the storytelling aspect, so doing more immersive stories with puzzles as opposed to puzzle experiences with story. Because like Rich was talking about earlier, not wanting people to feel like they've lost something or they were defeated. Like that's something that really resonates with me, because it just crushes me when I see a team that is having a great time and then they don't win at the end, and they just all that good energy just drains out. And so I'm really interested in seeing how we can lean more into that, giving every group that comes through a full experience, so that everyone gets a full story and no one walks away feeling like they've done poorly or that they've lost. So
right.
Are they all going to be 60-minute adventures still?
I think none of them will be. I think they will all be longer.
Okay, this is where the market's going now.
Let us know when this is, because that's when we're coming to Seattle. Is this next year, or what are we talking?
Who's gonna beat Paradox Project on the
third 3-hour game
experience?
Yeah.
That's what I
Oh
want.
my god, yeah. I was gonna say I've played too much in Europe now. I'm used to like, a 3-hour game.
Yeah, that's average.
Yeah, I don't know that would fly in Seattle, but definitely looking to play with longer formats. A lot of it's dependent on finding the space and then seeing how long the permitting process takes, depending on what type of space we find. I'm really, really hoping that by the end of 2023, we'll have something open. But, again, fingers crossed. So.
Okay. And the games are ready to go, or are you just looking for the space, or is it a combination of everything?
Mostly just looking for the space. Not all of the experiences are ready to go. They're all at sort of various levels because it's very difficult to design something 100% without knowing what sort of space you're going into, because even the ceiling height makes a big difference in how we design things. So,
okay.
But I definitely know the stories. So.
Oh, that's good.
That's already half the battle.
Means we're almost there. Yeah.
And Rich, are you opening an East Coast location for us to drive to? Or what's happening?
No, definitely not. No, I don't want any more locations.
Yeah.
I got it.
He's like, I need warm weather. All right. So you have two new games, I know, right?
Yes. So we are currently working on at our first location in Upland, California, the Trials of Merlin. So this is going to be obviously, medieval magic theme. So you can expect a lot of those wow moments that we're talking about, because this is magic and there's going to be actual magic in the room. Then we have, and I think this is an exclusive announcement. I don't think I've ever said this publicly. In Vegas, our new room is going to be called The Human Experiment. So that one a little more vague, but there are aliens involved. So both of these experiences are going to be our largest spaces, our most wow moments, and fully adaptive, where there will be adaptive moments throughout the experience, not just towards the end.
Wow.
Also longer than 60 minutes, or so?
We're trying to keep 60 minutes just because scheduling wise, it's so much easier if everything's the same length.
Yeah.
There's a possibility we could go longer, but right now the objective is 60 minutes.
Okay.
When is the ETA on this?
Oh, that's my least favorite question.
We gotta ask.
So we are shooting for end of year for Merlin. It is extremely unlikely, although but we're shooting. For the Human Experiment, probably we're looking spring.
Okay, so we'll be in Vegas in spring.
Nice.
And Maxime?
Yes, so for our Boisbriand location, we're going to be launching a new game soon called Project Reset. So Reset being an acronym, which I'm not going to say what it means.
Okay.
So,
wait, you already got everyone puzzling now.
So basically what we're shooting for, and again, in world premieres, we're shooting for an art style that's cyberpunk-ish in terms of how the game's going to look. We're also looking into introducing something that at least I've never seen in an escape room. And I'm not going to say more because I know there's people from Quebec listening, so I don't want to.
Write this down. Write this down.
No, but that's one thing we like to do. We like to take risks in terms of introducing, new ideas to the mix. And this is definitely going to be one of those games. It's our most ambitious, our most budget, and we're hoping, like Rich, to release by the end of the year. That's what we're shooting for. It's been a year we've been working on that, so it's a long time coming for sure. But it's gonna look great, and I'm excited.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody, for these new games that are coming out.
Also, 60 minutes as well, or?
It's what we're aiming for. Same thing for that Rich mentioned. All of our games are 60 minutes. It's from a logistics perspective. It's a lot easier to do that. But at the same time, we didn't play our game yet. We'll see how it plays out. It's a different experience, so it might need more time. So we'll see if this is something that becomes a 75 minutes maybe. For now, it's 60 minutes we're shooting for, but we'll see.
75 minutes is going to be like long as in Canada. Usually it's like 50.
It's
right?
actually
like
less
you have
than
a lot
60.
of 50 minutes ones. I was like, the 60 is already long for you guys.
Yeah. Maxime, out of curiosity, how many games have you played, escape room games?
So I don't have a log with counting them like
Right.
many others. I just play and at least over 100. Like I'm not like at the 400, 500, 600 level,
Yeah.
but like at least 100 for sure.
That's
Okay.
like a lot for owners.
Yeah, for owners.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Terry, what do you got?
Well, I have to say right now we're in a big state of flux, and maybe Summer and I should talk because we are actually looking for new locations as well, because we want to, well, the space that we have in Pioneer Square in Seattle, we're growing out of, and we're looking for a new home where we can do a lot more larger immersive theater projects. So, and we want to partner with some other people like escape room people or whatever, and see what we can create like location wise. And that's a big project, and I don't have an ETA, and I wish I did, but nope. It's like so many conversations. We really want to solidify like something in Seattle. I think it's time that Seattle had some new places to go for like these sorts of things. It's right for it, you know? And as far as our games go, we're just gonna see how those go, because as we develop new shows, we want to develop new games that go with them, that people, so that, like I said, people can have that experience of taking something home either with them afterwards or beforehand, you know? And so we're just going to keep that on the table as we develop more narratives and more immersive theater.
Yeah.
Well, you came to the right show because this show is all about connecting people.
Yep.
And they always have collabs
Awesome.
after.
Yeah. There you go. So basically, Cease, you should be doing real estate in Seattle. Like,
Yes.
go over
Wrong
there.
place again. Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you guys so much. We loved everything we heard today, and obviously, look, we already went over by half an hour because there's so much to talk about in this immersion world, and everybody has so much to contribute. But if you guys want to go, check out their games, you should definitely do that. But the winners of our raffle,
Oh, that's right. We're giving away raffle prizes.
is going to try them for free, and I'm really jealous about that.
I know. Well, all right. What's the first one we're giving away? Let's pull it up.
But once again, if you missed the opportunity this time, you should definitely check out our Instagram for information on how to enter for these, because they're going to be a week prior to the show. That's when they are all posted at ESCAPETHEROOMers. Okay, you didn't have a tag for us.
Oh, no. Boom.
Thank
Here
you.
we go. There
All
you
right.
go. You go to escapetheroomers.com or go to @escapetheroomers on
I was like, are
Instagram.
you working or not?
Yeah,
This
I'm multitasking
moderator.
right now.
Thank you.
Also, I'm, also
Yes.
postponing because I'm jealous these people are getting these awards. But okay, here we go.
First up, we have the remote escape room game from Locurio for their Vanishing Act room.
Ooh, great game.
Up to 4 logins. No, that's a great game. Yeah, we played a lot of fun. And the winner is ready? Irv1
Irvino? Irv10? Congrats.
Wow, that's like a really long cross.
Someone's very excited.
Something more like bingo balls going.
Yeah, I was
There you go.
It's like it's gonna.
Congratulations, Irvino, with the 1 in there somewhere.
Yeah. So remember to contact us though, because if you don't hear from you in 48 hours, we will draw a new winner.
Okay,
all
I
right,
think we're going to switch drummers.
Yeah.
All right.
So next we have the 4-person experience at any of their games at the Trap Escape Room in their 3 locations, and the winner is. That's a really short one. And that's hashtag John Paul.
Hashtag John Paul, congratulations. Wow, I'm curious which one he's going to choose.
Yeah, so many choices.
Yeah.
Okay, and next up, we're actually playing this one tonight.
We're going to play this one
I'm excited
tonight.
to go. Immersia's online game, The Forgotten Station.
Who is it?
Ultron Castle. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I think he's from Brazil.
Yeah,
right?
they're
Congratulations.
A big puzzle group
Yeah.
from Brazil. They love puzzles. All right, finally, 2 winners from Nordo Cafe of Player's Choice.
Player's Choice.
So ship to free to US, and then if you happen to live outside of US, and you have to cover the shipping costs, but I'm telling you, their games is definitely worth it because they're so yummy. I don't really know if you can ship food, but they're virtually yummy.
If you don't want your biscuit, give it to me. Because I didn't know. All
right.
The first winner is.
First one is Escape Room Escapades. Congratulations.
This guy is, wow, they've been on a roll too.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. And the next one is Ray in New York Girl. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ray and my girl. And why? Represent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this episode is also brought to you by our episode sponsor, Pier Pressure. Pier Pressure is Brighton-based escape room company in the UK with multiple award-winning immersive escape rooms. Their rooms are all in Brighton, Sussex themed, based on local icons like Royal Pavilion, mods, and rockers, 90s rave nightclubs, and the famous Brighton Lanes. So you can go to their website for more information at peerpressure.co.uk. And if you're interested in becoming this episode sponsor, you can email us at info@escaperoomers.com. And since we're not having a show on Thanksgiving because we'll be passed out from food coma, we're going to have the next show next week. So we'll be joined by the mystery creators. Because they have a ton of advices on giving out how to search for actual histories that they're putting into the game to make it like real, historical, and immersive. Yeah, everything has to do with immersion. Yeah. So I don't know if you want to find out on how did they go about their research, how to build that into their puzzles, then you'll have to find out on episode 83. Yeah, November 13th at the same time, 4 p.m. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah, Hurricane Nicole. I feel like that's what it is.
Yeah.
Hurricane Nicole.
We're dodging Hurricane Nicole. Bye, guys.
Bye.